Okay, good morning, class. So today we're looking at grade 12, paper 1, the November 2022. So the DVE paper or the NCS, I should have written NCS. Huh? NSC, sorry. NSC. Yeah. Okay. So yesterday we stopped at X's question 4.1.5. Today, today we're going to look at the. I don't think we'll finish the paper today, but let's see what we can finish in today's lesson. Morning. So in question 4.2, we are told that the graph of f of x equals x squared minus 4x minus 5 and g of x is equal to a times 2 to the x plus q are sketched below. E and h are x-intercepts of f, c is the y-intercept of f and lies on the asymptote of g. The two graphs intersect at D, the turning point of F. Okay. So that's it. Just look at the questions pertaining this graph. Just see what is seen there. Okay. So the first question says write down the coordinates of C. Write down the coordinates of C. Now we know that C is your y-intercept of your parabola. Not so. So what's the coordinates of C? 0 and -5. It's coming from here. Okay. Number 2, it says determine the coordinates of D. What is D, people? D is your turning point. How do you calculate the turning point? Calculating the axis of symmetry, which is minus B over 2A, which is negative minus 4 over 2, and A is 1. It gives you an answer of 2. So what do I do with that? I sub that into the f of x equation. So f of 2 is equal to 2 squared minus 4 times 2 minus 5 is minus 4 minus is negative 9. So D's coordinate is 2 and negative 9. Okay. So we got the next question, set of questions. So for question 4.2.3, the question says determine the value of A and Q. Now we know that Q is your horizontal asymptote. In this case, it's going to be y is equal to -5, as it's going through C this. So Q is -5. So g of x is equal to A times 2 to the x minus 5. Now to solve for A, we're going to substitute the point that's lying on this graph, on this exponential graph, which is D. So in this case, I'm going to substitute D, which is 2 and -9. That's an x and a y. So -9 is equal to 8 times 2 squared minus 5. You get over the equal sign, -9 plus 5 is 4. And 2 squared is 4a. So a is then equal to 1. So my equation now reads g of x is equal to 2x minus 5. Yes, did I make a mistake? Yes. It's supposed to have been minus 4. Okay, so it's supposed to be -1 there. Now it makes sense. Okay. I was thinking now why the graph a decreasing function and it's below the asymptote, so it has to be negative. Okay. The next question says write down the range of G. So as you can see here, the range is all possible y values. Does this graph exist at negative infinity on your y? Yes. It stopped existing at negative 5. So it's negative 5. The y must be less than negative 5. Can you see that, people? Can it be equal? No. Why? So it's an asymptote. So y is less than negative. Okay. See, I got the range twice there. So I've answered the 4 already. Let's look at 5. Determine the value for k for which f of x minus k will always be positive. Determine the value for k for which the value of will always be positive. Now, if you look at f of x is the parabola, not so. So, is this parabola not positive as it stands here? No. What makes this parabola negative? It's when it's lying under that axis there. This is the y is equal to 0 line. If it's more than 0, it's positive. If it's less than 0, it's of course negative. So in other words, this graph, leave that there. So this graph, in other words, which is the f of x graph, if it moves down, will it ever become positive only? No. It has to move up. If it moves up by 9 units, okay, then it will be on 0. Not so. So would you consider the 0 to be positive? 0 positive. Huh? It's neutral, no? It's not. It's in the middle. So in other words, if it's on 9, if it moves 9 units up, then it's neutral. Not so. So it must move more than 9 units up. Not so. So in other words, this has to move 9 units up. But here's a negative here. Not so. So in other words, which means negative k is greater than 9. So k has to be less than negative 9. So let's check if it's correct. Let's choose any value less than negative 9. Negative 10. So in other words, it's going to be f of x minus 10. Which means to say the f of x graph is moving 10 units up. That's what we want. Not so. So the answer is k has to be less than negative 9. Is that correct? You guys understand? Let's go to the next question. Question 5. Now the graph question here. So here we are told that g of x is equal to 2x plus 6. And and g to the negative 1, the inverse of g is shown in the diagram below. Then we are told that b and d are the x and y intercepts respectively of g. C is the x-intercept of the inverse. Okay, the graph of G and the inverse intersected. Right, let's see. First question. Write down the coordinates of B. So as you can see here, B is your y-intercept of your G of x graph. How do you calculate y-intercept? You let x equal to 0. Not so. So G of 0 is equal to 6. So B is 0 and 6. Did I have to go through all of that calculations there? No. You could have just written 0 and 6, you would have gotten the mark. Okay. Let's look at the second question. 5.2. Determine the equation of the inverse of g in the form of g to the negative 1 of x equal to mx plus n. So in other words, that's a standard form of a straight line. Okay? So what do we do for the inverse function? We interchange x and y. But remember that g of x is your y. So we got x is equal to 2y plus 6. So make y the side, we got the formula. So 2y is equal to 8 minus 6 divided by 2. So we'll have half x minus 3. And this is the equation of the inverse function. Okay. Let's look at 3. The third question says, determine the coordinates of A. And A is also what people, it's a point of intersection of the two graphs. So what do we do is I see the two graphs equal to each other. To do simultaneous equations, so 2x plus 6 is equal to half x minus 3. X is one side, numbers the other side, so it's going to be 2x minus a half. It's going to be 3 over 2x is equal to negative 9. So x is equal to negative 6. To get the corresponding y value, I substitute that into any of the two equations. So g of negative 6 is equal to 2 times negative 6 plus 6, which is negative 6. Is that correct? So then, therefore, A is going to be negative 6 and negative 6. Okay. So we need the space. To 4.5, the question says calculate the length of AB. 4.5, 5.4, sorry. Calculate the length of AB. So do we have the coordinates of B? Yes, we got 0 and 6 there. And we do that by using distance formula. So AB is equal to the square root of 0 minus minus 6 squared plus 6 minus minus 6 squared. Okay, so that gives us the square root of 6 squared plus 12 squared. 1. Okay, so that's 6 root 1. Now, then we are asked to calculate the area of triangle ABC. Now, there's many ways of calculating this area. Okay, I can calculate it using this the area rule. Okay, by doing that, I would need to calculate the area, the length of AC. We got the length of AB, and then we must calculate A1, then A2, and then subtract the 2, and then I'll get the angle there. Then we go off AB times AC, sine of that angle that I just worked out. That is using the area rule. Okay. But there's an easier way than that thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to divide this triangle in such a way that I can just use R for base times height. That basic calculation, okay? So if I conclude this and I make this say this is you use A, B, C, D, E. Let's call this E for now. Okay. Then what you should notice is that I have a right angle triangle there, and I can minus it by that right angle triangle. Then I will get that part of the triangle. Okay. Then to calculate, remember it's triangle ABC, so that is the triangle. Then to calculate this triangle here, what I do is I say it's half, that's my base, and that's my perpendicular. Okay. So it's simply going to be the area of triangle ABC is equal to the area of triangle. Should I write it out? I don't have to write it out. Let's write it so that you guys can follow. So it's BE minus the area of triangle. Let's call this if AFE. Okay. So that is taken care of, that triangle. Sorry, hold that. Even this one, the triangle. Okay. And this go on the other side. So it's going to be plus the area of triangle and BFC. Okay. So let's go with that. So for if, what was the equation of the inverse function? Now we need that. It was half x minus 3. No? So then f would be 0 and minus 3. Okay, e would be 0 and minus 6. Okay, because that's perpendicular in there. So the ABE will be half base. The base of course AE. So from 0 to A, as you can see, A is minus 6 and minus 6. So from AE, is going to be 6 times the perpendicular height, which is from negative 6 all the way to 6 is 12 units. Minus of the base here, of course, again, negative 6, so it's going to be 6 times the perpendicular height from negative 6 to 3. Negative 3 is going to be 3 plus a half. Now the base of that triangle is going to be BF. From 6 to negative 3 is 9 times the perpendicular height from O to C. Now I need to know C. C is your x-intercept. With y equal to 0 is going to give you 6 and 0. So that is going to give you 6. From there we just put it in our calculator. Okay? People, this question is coming up often now in the grade 12 final exams. For some reason or other, we're seeing it coming up more often now. Okay, this last year it was in paper 1 and paper 2. Yeah. For those of you who are saying sure, it sounds like you haven't done the papers yet. I get 54. Okay, so it's going to be 54 centimeters or units squared. 54 units squared. Okay. But as I said, people, there's many ways of doing this. Okay. You could have used the area rule. I'm sure there's many more than just those two that I'm indicating. Alright, let's look at question 6. Now we're going to financial maths. So here we are told that 12,000 Rand was invested in a fund that paid interest at M% per annum compounded quarterly. After 24 months, the value of the investment is 130,459. Determine the value of M. So people, we know that this is going to be your P value, that is going to be your A value. 24 months is going to be 2 years. Compounded quarterly, so you use the formula for compound interest, A is equal to P into 1 plus I to the exponent. So your final amount is 30,459 Rand. You're starting off with the principal of 12,000 Rand into 1 plus I which is m over 4, as it's compounded quarterly, to the 4 times. How many years is that for? 2 years. So the first thing is we need to divide both sides by 12,000. That cancels. Then I take the 8th root of 30,459 rand both sides. The 8th root. So I'm left with 1 plus m over 4. I take that 1 over, becomes minus 1. Okay. That answer then I multiply by 4 to get rid of that there. So therefore m is equal to, so it's going to be 4 into the 8th root of 13,459 rand. 12,000 minus 1. Let's multiply it by, and we'll give you 5,78%. Did it say how many decimals it wants though? No. Let's just write it to 2 decimal places. Okay. That's 5,78%. Okay. Let's look at question 6.2. We told on January 2022, the 31st of January, Tina deposits 1,000 rand into an account that pays an interest rate of 7.5% per annum compounded monthly. He continues depositing 1,000 rand on the last day of every month. He will make the last payment on the 31st of December 2022. So how many payments is he making? Making 12 payments, not so. Okay, it doesn't say it starts immediately or starts in 1 month's time. So I would assume that the formula, there's no change in this formula. Okay? Because if it says it starts in 1 month's time, it starts immediately. If it starts immediately, it's an extra 1 plus on your in value. Will Tina have sufficient funds in his account on the 1st of January 2023, which is the first of the next year, to buy a computer that costs 13,000 rand? Justify your answer by means of appropriate calculations. So people, there's no change on the in value there. It doesn't look like there's any change. So it doesn't stipulate that it starts in 1 month's time. So if it's not stipulated, I just assume there's no change of the formula. So because it's investment, I'm going to use f is equal to x into 1 plus I to the n minus 1 all over I. There's the future value you want to calculate. Remember, 12 investments will give you 12,000 rand. Then looking if we will have 13,000. So we must calculate if the interest earned on this account is sufficient. So it's going to be compounded monthly with a deposit of a monthly deposit. So it's 1,000 rand. So that's also in line. 1 plus 0.75 over 12 to the exponent 12 times 1, because that's for 1 year, minus 1 all over I, which is 0.075. So we get 1,000 rand into 1 plus 0.075 over 12 to the exponent 12 minus 1. That's over 0.075, and that's over 12. With 12,421 rand. 12,421 rand and 22 cents. Will he have sufficient funds on the first? No. Okay, so therefore no. Is that right? Sorry? What? Conclude. Okay. Therefore, no. You should not have sufficient. Okay. Okay. You should write it, is that right? You should write it. If you wanted, you could have said what the shortfall was. The shorting is a minus 13,000. The shorting 578 rand and 78 cents. Okay. Now, in an exam, people, if he got even 12,921 rand, so he's shorting just something shy of 80 rand, no? The answer should have still been no. Okay? Because we're going with pure calculation here. Okay? So even if it's closer, but it's less than, we're going to consider it not to be sufficient. Okay? Let's go to 6.3. So here we are told that in 6.3 that Taco plans to buy a car that costs 250,000 rand. He will pay a deposit of 15% and take out a loan for the balance. The interest on the loan is 30% per annum compounded month. The first question, calculate the value of the loan. So PV, okay, so it'll be 250,000 rand and 15% as a deposit. So how much of the money is actually a loan? 85% of that amount. Not so. So multiply this by 0.85. Or you could have said 250,000 multiplied by 15%, and then you take that answer minus it from 250,000 rand. Okay? But because it's 1 mark, you can just go 250,000 multiplied by 0.85 or 85 over 100 is your present value or a loan amount of 212,500. Okay. 6.2. 6.3.2. The first payment will be made 6 months after the loan has been granted. People, what's going to happen there? It's going to throw an interest for 5 months. Okay. The loan will be repaid over a period of 6 years after it has been granted. Calculate the monthly installments. In other words, we're calculating X here. Not so. So you got your present value equals X into 1 minus 1 plus I to the exponent minus n all over I. Your present value is going to be 212,500. We see it's going to pull an interest for 5 months. So it's going to be 1 plus 0.13 over compounded monthly. Okay, 12 to the exponent 5. So it's 5 over 12 times 12 equals X into 1 minus 1 plus 0.13 over 12 to the exponent. 12 times is going to be for 6 years. Not so. Minus that 5 months over I, which is 0.13 over 12. Alright. So now we're just going to manipulate the formula, the equation a bit. So it's going to be 112,500 into 1 plus 0.13 over 12 to the exponent 5 times. We cross multiplying, that's going up, and that of course coming down. 0.13 over 12, so this must be divided by 1 minus 1 plus 0.13 over 12 to the exponent, that is 72 minus 5, or 72 minus 5. It's supposed to be a negative, isn't it? What's it? What? 67 equals x. Therefore, x is equal to, let's put that in the calculator. So the fraction answer into 1 plus 0.13 over 12 to the exponent 5 times 0.13 over 12, 0.13 over 12, one minus, open brackets, 1 plus 0.13 over 12 to the exponent negative 67. 4,724 then. 96. Okay, is that correct? Alright. Any confusion there? No? Alright, so now we're moving to calculus. So the first question, people, this is almost a guarantee to be a question 1 or your question 2. If they put a limits question in, that's normally a question 1. Okay? I think this would be a question 2. But this question must come in for 5 marks or more. Okay? Sometimes it's 7 marks. Alright. So when we start with if f of x is equal to x squared plus x. Okay? Then f of x plus h is equal to x plus h squared plus x plus h. Start with the formula as well. So f prime x is equal to the limit as h approaches 0 of f of x plus h minus f of x all over h. Okay. So we do the substitution. Is the limit? Don't drop your limit until you have done the appropriate substitution. You're going to multiply that out. So I'm going to give you x squared plus 2xh plus h squared plus x plus h minus x squared plus x. And this is all over h. So get the limit as h approaches 0 of x squared plus 2x h plus h squared plus x plus h minus x squared minus h all over h. So that cancels. That cancels. As you can see here, h is a common factor. So it's the limit as h approaches 0 of h into 2x plus h plus 1 all over h. That cancels. So I got the limit as h approaches 0 of 2x plus h plus 1. We revise here h up to the 0. So that is simply equal to 2x plus 1. And we can confirm that by applying the laws of differentiation, the rules. Okay, we can give it 2x plus 1 anyway. Okay. Let's look at the next question. It says in 7.2, determine f prime x if f of x is equal to 2x to the exponent 5 minus minus 3x to the 4 plus 8x. So we go f prime x equals 5 times 2 is going to be 10x minus 1 is 4 minus 12x cubed plus 8. Okay. Look at the next one. 7.3, a tangent to g of x equals x cubed plus 3x squared plus bx plus c as a minimum gradient. So it has a gradient, and the gradient is at the minimum at negative 1 and negative 7, for which values of x will g be concave up. Okay. So let's do the first derivative. So g prime x is equal to 3ax squared plus 6x plus b. So that's your gradient. Okay. That's your general gradient anywhere along that curve. So g double dash of x is equal to 6ax plus 6. Okay. There's A, B, and C here. The tangent to that is a minimum gradient. Okay, so if say that is if A was greater than 0, which means it's positive, there's a minimum at -1 and -7. Okay, so that's that. So I can say that G prime of -1 is equal to 3A times -1 squared plus 6 times -1 plus B, and that is equal to 0. So I got 3A plus B is equal to 6. That's equation 1. Now I need to find equation 2 now. We also know that G of -1 is equal to A times -1 cubed plus 3 times -1 squared plus B times -1 plus C, and that's equal to -7. I can drop that. So -A plus 3 minus B plus C is equal to -7. So A plus B minus C is equal to, as -10 becomes plus 10. This is equation 2. So I don't think that's going to help us because there's a lot of unknowns now. You just see something quickly, move this to the side. I don't think that's going to help us. Can we just see something? So, if I'm going to say that equal to 0, so it's going to be 6ax is equal to -6. So x is equal to 1 over a in the negative. I need to know if a is positive or negative to see how the graph is going to react. So each value of x will be concave up. So if a is greater than 0, it will be concave up if a is greater than, or if x is greater than whatever this value is at that point. Okay, but it could be the other way around as well. If we're going somewhere around, just pause the video, don't waste too much time. Okay. Sorry about that. Basically, what you must consider here, so all this is out. So, let's read it again. We are told that the tangent to g of x is equal to a x cubed plus 3x squared plus bx plus c as a minimum gradient. So, normally when we speak about gradient, is first derivative, minimum or maximum is another derivative. So, we're going to apply the second derivative there. So, it's going to be g dash of x is equal to 3ax squared plus 6x plus b. While the second derivative is going to be the derivative of the derivatives is 6ax plus 6. So we are told in that my mistake was when I drew the graph, I actually drew this point at the turning point, the minimum turning point. But we are told it's a minimum gradient. So the graph could either do that if A is positive, or the graph could do this if A is negative. Okay. So this point here, the point of inflection is actually at -1 and -0. Okay. So if A is greater than 0, then the point, the graph will be concave up for x is greater than -1. If A is less than 0, which means to say A is negative, then your concave up will be for x is less than -1. So in other words, we need to determine if A is positive or negative. That's all we need to do. So what we do is we now work out g double dash of -1. And we see that equal to 0. Why? Because why? The point of inflection is at -1. So we say 6a into -1 plus 6 is equal to 0. You can drop that. So -6a is equal to -6. So a is equal to 1. Which means to say a is positive. So that one I'm interested in. And that one we can discard. So in other words, therefore, x must be greater than, and my x value is -1. -1. Okay, sorry about the confusion in the previous couple of minutes, but that is how it's done. However, my mistake was I drew this point on the wrong place. Okay. So we'll cover from question 8 onwards in our next lesson.